Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I've spent the last 2+ decades of my life. You know, I'm in the shoe. This is after we bucked, after we took the sword team, after they came in and whooped my ass. They got us in full restraints for 72 hours. That's shackled on your legs, there's a belly chain, and a black box. You know, 72 hours is 3 days. Now, out here, 3 days, it goes by in a blink of an eye. You don't have enough hours in the day to get through to do the things that you want. But when you're in a cell and you're shackled and you're black box and they're coming in, waking you up every hour, you know, shining the flashlights in your eye, depriving you of sleep, you lose a sense of time. I don't know all the different things that the CIA used to torture people in Gitmo, but I've been through shit myself. I've been in a cell for 2 weeks straight with no clothes, no shower shoes, no blankets, no sheets, in a cold ass room where I don't have nothing on but my dun-da-duns, you know, my tidy whities, that's it. And I'm sitting there shivering and I can't sleep. I try to do push-ups, I try to do squats, I try to do exercise to tire myself out so I can fall asleep. But when I get to the point where I'm so tired and try to lay down, as soon as my body hits the cold bunk, I'm snapped wide awake again because it's so freezing. You know, we're in a cell. We're on the floor. They got one mattress on the floor for 2 of us. I mean, there's no reason to put a mattress on the top bunk because we can't get up there anyway with our shackles. You know, going through that, I mean, at the time, I didn't really care. You know, at the time I understand, you know, that this is part of the environment I live in and that, you know, this is my punishment. But they're punishing us for something that we're doing to try to, how do I say this? You know, if I live in North Korea and I'm in prison in North Korea, I know I ain't got shit coming. I know it's going to be whatever, slave labor, 1 meal a day, the same clothes for the whole time you're there. And they're going to starve me and beat me to death. Like they did that kid that, you know, went over there and stole a picture off the wall as a joke when he was visiting North Korea and ended up with 18 years of hard labor. And 2 years later, he was brain dead. You know, if that's the country we live in, then I understand. But we, here in America, you know, all these politicians, they say we have these civil liberties. They try to do the things, you know, with being humane to the people incarcerated. You know, they try to present the people that, hey, we're a civil society, we're a civilized society, and that we treat our citizens with certain dignity. But that's not true. You know, the things that happen behind closed doors, outside the eyes of the public, they don't want you to know. But there's a lot of atrocities that's going on back there. Have you ever read the case of the cowboys in Florence? You know, when people go back to the shoe, these group of individuals that end up getting indicted, the CEOs, used to have people 4-pointed and be over there beating their ass. And a lot of times they'll go and wrap, you know, foam on a nightstick or whatever it is that they're using to beat your ass so it doesn't leave bruise on your body. So when the forensic comes, they can show you that, oh, we didn't do nothing to this guy. This guy is lying. But you're in there getting whooped. And that shit, I don't give a fuck how much foam you got around that nightstick. They beat your ass enough time, it's going to hurt. You know, they had my homeboy Larry hemmed up in ADX for 6 months. They had him tied down and beat his ass. You know, when I ran it, you know, the last time I saw him was 2004. But I ran into him again around 2012. And he was sharing the story while he was at the sweat lodge with the natives about what happened to him while he was in ADX, you know, for assaulting that staff, Miss Smith. He was like, man, they beat me so bad that if they told me to tell on my mom, I would have told on my mom. I would have told on everybody. You know, he was begging them, a grown-ass man crying, begging them to stop because they've been whooping his ass for so long. Now, I haven't had that experience. God bless me. And I'm fortunate that I never went through, you know, such extremes. But during them 72 hours, you know, I lost a sense of time. I wasn't even coherent for half of the time or the whole time because, you know, every hour, just imagine that, every hour, they're waking you up, dragging you out of the cell, and shining a flashlight in your eye. And their excuse is to tell you that, oh, we want to make sure the restraints aren't cutting off your circulation. Well, I can't adjust the restraints. Once you're on there, once you lock it in, you got the black box over my cuffs, and my cuffs are locked in, so I can't loosen it. I can't tighten it. I don't have I don't have a fucking key to unlock the padlock that you got around my belly chain. So I'm not messing with the restraints. There's nothing that I can do with the restraints. So there's no reason for you to come every hour and wake me up and shine a flashlight in my eye. Like, there's no way for me to describe that time unless you went through it, unless you've been through it. And it's a form of torture. You know, when I have to use the bathroom, I gotta sit there on the freaking toilet while my cellie is standing behind me, flushing it. Everything they do in there is to degrade you, to break you down. But we're being punished for standing up for something that we know that you say we got coming. The BOP, the Bureau of Prison, tells us that this is what we got coming. You might, you know, the viewers out there might not agree that, oh, it's just a small thing that we could have just overlooked and moved on with our lives. Because really, there's nothing in those Christmas bags. Bunch of little candies, you know, them little bite-sized Snickers or whatever, a couple little strips of coffee, some bags of chips, some bags of cookies. Yeah, none of that shit is worth getting our ass whooped over. But that's besides the point. The point is that it shouldn't be up to the discretions of each warden of what they want to do when they feel like it. Throughout the whole system, through the BOP, certain days is what you got coming. When you go to the shoe, they tell you got rec coming at minimum 3 times a week, an hour each time. That's just 3 hours out of your cell for a whole week. That's what we got coming, regardless of what we got going on. And that's from the Geneva Convention. You know, after the war, they had a meeting in Geneva and came out with policies on how to treat prisoners and inmates and POWs. And the federal government is supposed to abide by that. But right now, at this time, these people, when they come and get you for rec, you know, all night, they'll walk through and count. They count every hour. So all night, they'll walk through. They know you're sleeping. They'll walk through, their feet is stomping, their keys are jangling, just whatever they can do to make noise because they know these noises going to wake you up. But then when they come and sign you up for rec, and I don't know where, who, whatever, started adopting this policy or stop adopting this routine, but usually, they don't pull people out for rec till about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock. And they don't come and ask you to sign up for rec until it's time for your tier to go to rec. But now they want to come through 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning and sign you up for rec. And if your ass is not up at the door ready to let them know that you want to sign up for rec, then you lose your rec. But let me ask you this. They don't give us a clock. We can't have a watch. So how the freak am I supposed to know when 5 o'clock comes around? And before they hit your tier, they're supposed to tell you, rec, letting you know if you want to sign up for rec, get your ass off the bunk and stand at the door. But these cowards, when it's time to, every other hour through the night, they'll come walking through, counting, making all sorts of noise. But when it's time to sign up for rec, they'll hold their keys and they'll walk really light so you can't hear them. So the only way that you'll get to be able to sign up for rec if your ass is staying up all night. You don't have no radio. You can't listen to any program to know what time this program comes to keep time. When you're in the shoe, their window is sprayed with these frosts so you can't look outside. You can only tell when it's light or when it's dark. Other than that, you don't know what time it is. You only know the time. You tell the time is by people coming in, by feeding time. They feed you breakfast at 6. They feed you lunch between 10 and 12. They feed you dinner after count, between 4:30 and 5. So outside of those 3 times, you have no clue what time of day it is. I know it's designed to break you down. I know it's designed to demoralize you. But why? We're already in there for decades. I'm serving a 26-year sentence. And I say over and over again, even serving that 26-year sentence, I feel I'm fortunate because I'm able to be here now to air my grievance to the viewers. But there's people in there that's been there decades before me that are still in there now, and there's people in there that are never coming home. You always got us locked up. You're only allowing us rec 3 times a week, an hour each time. So 3 hours a week. So what's with all the extra stuff? It's hard for me sometimes because I'm here now. But I still got friends that are still going through the struggle. And like I said, you might not agree with how, you might say, oh, we deserve this because we're a bunch of criminals, that we committed some crimes or whatever to be in there. But again, we're in the United States of America. And all these politicians tell you we have different standards. They want to point the finger at North Korea, at China, at Cuba, and all these other different countries that mistreat their people, their citizens, that mistreat their inmates or whatever. But they're doing the same shit. They're just not putting it on the news for you to see. Some of the things they've done in there. If I was the type of person that can't let stuff go, I'd be trying to hunt them down. I knew a guy that was in Marion. It had nothing to do with what he was going on. They got into a confrontation with another inmate. And when the police came, they fought the police too. Well, after they were restrained means you're already cuffed up. You're already shackled. One of the guards shoved a nightstick up his ass. Like, why? I understand if the guard is fighting back to defend himself. But the guy is restrained already. So the only reason you would do that, shove a nightstick up a man's ass, is because you want to break that man. You want to demoralize that man. And you want to have a sense of power over someone. I know some people tell me, you're home now. You should let some of these things go. But how do I do that? I've been 2+ decades under these people's heels, being treated like a lesser person. But in my experience, dealing with the COs, they get a real quick understanding on who I am and what I'm about. Because at the time when I was incarcerated, I made it known, not verbally, but through my actions, that I'm not tolerating anything. I'm not accepting nothing. And the only way that you're going to get me is you have to kill me. Because if you violate me in any other way, I'm going to hurt you. And I've done it through the course of my bid. I've done it. They want to look at me like I'm some piece of shit, that I'm not worthy of the courtesy that's afforded a human being. But I repeat over here, and I tell you again, I have more integrity in my little finger than they have in their whole body. They don't even understand what integrity is. They never stand there with their homies facing death. The only time they have courage, the only time they have heart, is when they have the upper hand, is when the number's in their favor. Because time and time again, when they're tested to come and aid and assist their fellow staff, they tuck their tails and run. I don't make this stuff up. What's it? Russell Shacklefield that comments, he'll tell you every freaking incident that I tell you. He has the police report, I think. But like I said, man, whether you agree with what we do and how we live our life, understand that we have men like me, and I'm speaking on men like me. We have standards. We don't violate kids. We don't violate women. And we don't tell on people. Welcome to the USP.